Elena Voss had always known the rules of the Ashford pack. Bloodlines mattered more than feelings. Duty mattered more than love. Yet for 6 quiet months, she had let herself forget those rules, because Damien Ashford, heir to the pack, had chosen her anyway. They met in secret, beneath the old pines at the edge of the territory, where the moonlight fell soft through the branches, and no one from the pack council ever wandered. Damien was not what people expected of a future alpha. He laughed easily. He listened when she spoke. He touched her hand like it was something precious, not something to be used. "You know what they'll say if they find out," Elena told him one night, her voice low with worry. "I don't care what they say," Damien answered, pulling her closer. "You're mine, Elena. That's all that matters." She wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him. But somewhere in her heart, a small voice warned her that promises made in moonlight often broke in daylight. That warning came true on the night of the founding ceremony. The entire pack gathered in the great hall, wolves of every rank standing shoulder to shoulder beneath banners bearing the Ashford crest. Elena stood near the back, half hidden by the crowd, her heart pounding with a strange mix of hope and fear. She had told herself that tonight, Damien would finally announce their bond. He had promised her, hadn't he? He had sworn that soon the secrecy would end. Instead, Alpha Ashford stepped forward, raised his hand for silence, and spoke words that shattered her world. "Tonight, I am proud to announce the future of our pack. My son, Damien, will be bonded to Serafina Cole, daughter of the Cole bloodline, in accordance with our sacred traditions." The hall erupted into applause. Serafina, elegant and composed, stepped beside Damien with a practiced smile, as though she had always belonged there. Damien did not resist. He did not step back. He simply stood, jaw tight, eyes downcast, saying nothing. Elena felt the floor tilt beneath her feet. She searched his face for some sign, some flicker of protest, some proof that he would not let this happen. But Damien remained silent, trapped by duty, by fear, by the weight of expectations too heavy for him to shrug off in front of the entire pack. She did not wait to hear more. She turned and slipped through the crowd, out into the cold night air, tears burning her eyes before she even reached the trees. Weeks passed. Elena kept to herself, avoiding the places where she might cross paths with Damien or Serafina. She told herself she was healing, that time would ease the ache in her chest. But then came the morning she woke feeling ill, her body different somehow, and a quiet, frightening realization settled over her. She was carrying Damien's child. For a long moment, Elena sat frozen, staring at nothing, her mind racing through possibilities, each one more dangerous than the last. A half-blood heir, born outside of the sanctioned bond, would be seen not as a miracle, but as a threat. Serafina's family held great influence within the council. If they discovered that Elena carried the true-blooded child of the future Alpha, they would see only one solution: erase the problem before it could grow. Elena pressed a hand to her stomach, and something inside her hardened with resolve. She would not let her child become a target. She would not let him be used, hidden away, or worse, harmed to protect someone else's claim to power. That night, she packed a small bag, left no note, and disappeared from Ashford territory before the moon reached its peak. She settled far from any packlands, in a quiet town where humans and neutral wolves lived without asking too many questions. She found work at a small bakery, rented a modest room above a shop, and slowly built a life stitched together from caution and determination. When her son was born, she named him Kalen, and the moment she held him, she knew every sacrifice had been worth it. Kalen grew quickly, as wolf children often did, strong and curious, with his father's sharp eyes and Elena's gentle patience. She taught him to control his shifts long before other children his age, taught him to stay quiet about his heritage, taught him the careful art of blending in. She never spoke Damien's name aloud, though sometimes, late at night, she would catch herself watching Kalen sleep and seeing traces of him in every feature. Years slipped by. Elena built walls around her heart, focused entirely on giving Kalen a safe, ordinary life. She told herself she had made peace with the past. She told herself she no longer wondered what might have been. But peace, it seemed, was not meant to last forever. Back in Ashford territory, the pack had grown unstable. Seraphina, despite years of trying, had been unable to produce an heir. Whispers spread through the ranks, questioning whether the bloodline itself was weakening, whether the council had made a mistake in their choice. Alpha Ashford grew older and more anxious with each passing season, desperate for reassurance that the pack's future remained secure. Damien, now carrying the full weight of leadership responsibilities, felt the pressure closing in from every direction. Yet none of it filled the hollow place inside him that had never healed since the night Elena vanished. He had searched for her in the early months, quietly, carefully, terrified of what the council might do if they discovered his intentions. But her trail had gone cold, and eventually, duty forced him to stop looking, at least outwardly. The truth found him again by accident. A pack tracker, sent to investigate unusual wolf activity near a neutral town, returned with a strange report. A young wolf, untrained but remarkably strong, had been spotted during a chance shift in the forest outside the town. The tracker described details that made Damien's breath catch: the boy's eyes, his build, the particular way his aura felt eerily familiar. Damien did not wait for council approval. He traveled to the town himself, alone, driven by an instinct he could not ignore. He found Elena first, stepping out of the small bakery at dusk, her arms full of bread wrapped in cloth. For a moment, neither of them moved. The years fell away, and old feelings rushed back with painful clarity. "Elena," Damien said, his voice barely above a whisper. She stiffened, gripping the bread tighter, as though it could shield her from the storm about to break. "You shouldn't be here." "I need to know," he said, stepping closer. "Is it true? Is there a boy?" Her silence was answer enough. That evening, in the small room above the bakery, Elena finally told him everything. She spoke of her fear the night of the ceremony, her decision to protect their child from a council that valued bloodline politics over a mother's love, the long years of building a life in secret. Damien listened, his chest tightening with every word, guilt and grief tangled together until he could barely breathe. "You should have told me," he said quietly. "Told you what?" Elena's voice cracked, years of buried pain finally breaking free. "That I was carrying your child while you stood beside another woman. What would you have done, Damien? Defied your father in front of the entire pack? You couldn't even speak up that night." He had no answer, because she was right. He had let fear silence him once, and it had cost him everything that mattered. Kaelin returned home just then, pausing in the doorway when he saw the stranger standing in their small kitchen. Something in his expression shifted, a flicker of recognition neither he nor Damien could explain, some instinct passed down through blood alone. "Kaelin," Elena said gently, "this is your father." The room went silent, heavy with years of unspoken history. Damien knelt slowly, meeting his son's eyes for the first time, and felt something inside him break open entirely, a mixture of overwhelming love and unbearable regret. "I'm sorry," Damien whispered, though he wasn't sure if the words were meant for Kaelin or Elena or both. "I'm so sorry." Over the following days, Damien stayed in the town, slowly earning fragments of trust from both mother and son. He learned about Kaelin's quiet strength, his sharp mind, the gentle humor he had clearly inherited from Elena. Watching them together, Damien understood with painful clarity everything he had missed, and everything he still had a chance to reclaim. But returning to Ashford territory meant facing consequences neither Elena nor Kaelin could avoid. The council would not welcome a half-blood heir without resistance. Seraphina's family held too much influence, too much invested in maintaining the current order. Yet the pack's instability offered an unexpected opening. Whispers of a true-blooded heir, born of the future Alpha himself, spread quickly once word leaked from the tracker's report. Many pack members, tired of Seraphina's failed promises and the growing uncertainty, began to question whether tradition alone should decide their future, or whether true bloodline strength, undeniable and proven, deserved recognition instead. Damien made his decision. He returned to Ashford territory with Elena and Kaelin beside him, standing before the full council without hesitation this time. Alpha Ashford's expression hardened with shock as Damien spoke. "This is my son," Damien announced, his voice steady despite the weight of every eye upon him. "Born of my true mate, Elena Voss. I should have claimed them both years ago, and I let fear stop me. I will not make that mistake again. Serafina's composed mask cracked for the first time, disbelief and anger flashing across her face. The council murmured among themselves, some outraged, others intrigued by the possibility of a legitimate heir, finally strengthening the bloodline. Alpha Ashford studied his son for a long, tense moment, weighing decades of tradition against the undeniable truth standing before him. Finally, he spoke. "Bring the boy forward." Kalen stepped ahead, chin lifted despite his nervousness, and the council elders examined him carefully, testing his bloodline through ritual and instinct alone. When the confirmation came, murmurs of astonishment rippled through the hall. Kalen's blood ran true, stronger even than expected, carrying unmistakable marks of the Ashford lineage. Faced with undeniable proof and a pack desperate for stability, the council reluctantly accepted what tradition alone could no longer deny. Serafina, humiliated and without support, chose to leave the territory entirely rather than remain in a position stripped of purpose. In the months that followed, Damien worked tirelessly to rebuild what years of silence and fear had broken. He did not expect Elena's forgiveness to come easily, and it didn't. She remained cautious, guarding her heart the way any mother would after years of protecting her child alone. But Damien remained patient, present, and honest in ways he had never allowed himself to be before, slowly proving through actions rather than words that this time his choice was permanent. Kalen adjusted to his new life with the quiet resilience Elena had instilled in him, learning his role within the pack while still carrying the gentle wisdom his mother had taught him during their years in hiding. He grew close to his father, though the bond took time, built through patient conversations, and shared moments neither had expected to have. One evening, months later, Elena stood beneath the same old pines where she and Damien had once shared secret nights, watching Kalen practice his shift nearby under his father's careful guidance. Damien approached quietly, standing beside her without speaking at first. "I know I can't undo what I did," he said finally, "but I promise you, Elena, I choose you now. Openly, completely, no more hiding, no more silence." Elena studied him for a long moment, years of pain and love tangled together in her chest. Slowly, cautiously, she allowed herself to believe him. "Then don't ever go quiet again," she said softly. "I won't," Damien promised, reaching for her hand the way he once had beneath these very trees. "Not this time." As the moon rose high above Ashford territory, casting silver light over the pack that had finally begun to heal, Elena felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. Hope. Not the fragile hope of secret nights and stolen moments, but something steadier, something built on truth finally spoken aloud. Kalen's laughter drifted through the trees as he chased his own shadow beneath the moonlight, unaware of how close he had come to a life defined by hiding rather than belonging. Elena watched her son, safe and free for the first time in his life, and knew that whatever challenges still lay ahead, they would face them together, as a family finally whole.